All right, so what's up there, YouTube? Okay. All right, so today I want to talk to you guys about what happened with my computer. So this video, I shot this video yesterday before building my new computer, which is behind me. See the lights down there? I had to rebuild my computer. I filmed this yesterday. For some reason, the first part of this did not work. It didn't come out. Anyway, so I didn't have the beginning of this footage until just now, so I had to refilm this. So here's the deal. Here's what happened. So about a month ago, I was working on a project for a customer. I was working on a client's project, and I was done with it in Edius. I was completely done editing, and I went to render it. And when I went to render it, the file, for some reason, when I went to render it, it was going real slow. My computer was going real slow. So it was just sitting there waiting to render. It would not render the file. So I thought, well, let me restart the computer and see if that fixes it. Now let me back up a little bit, because over the past, I'd say probably 2 or 3 months, I would turn my computer off at night before leaving for work at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And that evening when I'd come home, I'd hit the button to start the computer, turn the computer back on. I was turning it off for air conditioner reasons, because it gets hot in here, and there's no reason in running the AC and having a hot computer running, just sitting there if it's not, to save on the AC more than to save the power for the PC or anything like that. But anyway, so I turned the computer off, and I'd come home and I'd hit the button to turn it on, and sometimes it wouldn't turn on. It'd go to this like recovering Windows, and I'd have to hold the button down, restart it, like it would get stuck in a loop, and then it would reboot and be fine. And I noticed it did it probably 5 or 6 times in the past 6 or 8 months. So then I was doing this project for this customer, and I had already told her, look, I'm going to be sending the videos out this next week. I was done. I was rendering them. All I had to do was render out the files real quick. And I thought, okay, I'll render the files. I got the thumb drives, got everything ready to go. So probably Monday, I'll have this thing ready to ship out, and I'll ship her videos out on Monday. So Friday, I turned the computer off. I restarted it. And when I restarted it, that was it. It never went back into Windows. No matter what I did, I could not get that thing to go back into Windows. It would freeze up. It would stay in the recovering screen, and it would never boot back into it. I even tried booting off the thumb drive. I took the laptop and made a copy of a file, threw it on the thumb drive, and tried booting off of the thumb drive to repair Windows. That didn't work. Also, I had to go and buy a laptop because I haven't used a laptop in a while. I had a laptop for when I did a lot of weddings, and I'd shoot and edit weddings and deliver them the same day or whatever. And it was like $700 and something on Amazon, but it's got 64 gigs of memory in it. And it doesn't have a fancy video card or anything. And I thought, well, at least I can render it. I can leave it sitting on here rendering. And this cheap laptop will work just fine. It'll run Edius, and I can just throw this thing on here. Well, come to find out, this Intel, it's like a 10 core, like 12 thread or something like that. I don't know. It's got some weird, it doesn't double the cores for threads like AMD does. It's got like a 10 core processor or something. There's like parked cores or something. I don't understand how low cores or whatever, and it only uses them when it renders. But it's got QuickSync. So the first thing I noticed was my files were rendering fast on here. I was like, wow, this thing renders fast. Now, editing way slower than on my PC, obviously, with a RTX 3070 in it, but still, it worked, and I had to buy that laptop. Anyway, I had to deactivate it on my PC and reactivate it on my laptop. Anyway, so I had an issue. So this morning I sent them an email and I explained what was happening. They immediately shot right back, like within minutes, and helped me out and got it all fixed up. And they said, oh, you're going to have to right click those in the Edius license manager and delete the old keys on the PC. So I did that, and boom, it came right on, and then it activated, and everything's fine. But hats off to Grass Valley and guys over at Edius.net for making this so easy to do, because it was a pain in the neck. I was getting frustrated, but it worked great. So I got the PC back up and running. My PC's up and running again, and now I'm editing this video. So let me tell you exactly what happened and why it happened. And I already filmed this. So anyway, so the computer was turning, like I couldn't get it to start. So I bought a new power supply. I bring it home. I swap out the power supply, hit the button, click, 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 and it just goes off. It doesn't start. So I was like, what the heck? It can't have two bad power supplies. So I pull out a memory stick, try it again, nothing. Pull out another memory stick, try it again, nothing. Pull the video card out, unplug it, try it again, nothing. What the hell? Maybe I've got another bad power supply. I mean, I can't. Why won't it start? It's not even turning on. So I unplug everything, all the fans and everything, and I hit the power supply, and nothing. It lights up, but nothing happens. It doesn't. None of the other, like the one fan, nothing comes on. I was like, what the hell is going on? I mean, surely the CPU didn't go bad or something. So I thought, okay, I'll order another power supply. Maybe I got a second bad one somehow. So I ordered a second power supply, and I thought, well, let me order another power supply. Anyway, so I got another power supply. I swapped that one out, got another one. And I put it in, I hit the button, and the lights come on, but nothing else happens. So I took the video card out, which is this Gigabyte RTX 3070. It's a RTX Vision 3070. It's a Gigabyte card. I mean, it's a pretty decent card. It's not an old card or anything. There's no smoke. It wasn't running a game. It wasn't like it crashed during playing a game or anything. But I figure, why not? So I took the video card out, and I put in a different video card that I had. Same thing happens. So then I thought, well, let me try pulling the power supply, pulling the power plugs off of the video card, and trying it without any power going to the video card. I did that, and boom, the fans came on. I thought, oh, okay, so maybe it's a bad video card. So let me order another video card. I can't, somewhere I ended up ordering a motherboard. That's what it was. I ordered the power supply, and then I ordered the power supply, new power supply came, same thing happened. So I thought, well, let me try swapping the motherboard. So I bought a new motherboard, and I swapped it, and it did the same thing. It clicked. But if I took and unhooked the video card, then the fans would come on, but I had no way to check video. So I thought, okay, let me take the motherboard. Let me swap the motherboard. So I took this motherboard out, and this is my Gigabyte Vision B550 Vision. It's a beautiful motherboard. It was very expensive motherboard. It wasn't cheap. I mean, for the B550, it was like one of the most expensive B550 motherboards you could get. So I thought, okay, let me try another motherboard. So I swapped the motherboard, and it was still doing the same thing, but like the lights came on, and then it clicked. And then, so I thought, well, video cards, the only thing I haven't changed was the video card. So I disconnected the video card power, and it boots, and the fans spin. So I thought, okay, it's probably the video card. Let me order a video card that doesn't require power, and see if I can at least get this thing to boot. So I ordered a GTX 1050 or something like that. And it comes in, I pop it in. Now this is taking forever to get these parts back. So I get that, I put it in, I get it to boot with my SSD. The SSD, everything's back in the other board, but my Windows SSD, it comes on, it boots, it gets to the loading screen, and it freezes up. So I restart it, and then it goes to that same recovery screen. Like it keeps trying to recover. And the only thing in the computer was the memory and the CPU. That's the only things that were old. So I thought it must have burnt up the CPU. So I take out So I'm taking stuff apart, and I happen to notice that I have a smartwatch, right? And what it is just one of these Amazon smartwatches. Well, if you know anything about these smartwatches, there's on the back of them, there's two little pins right there. See the two little pins right here? These two little pins, let me see if I can get it to focus on them, right there. These two little pins right here connect to a charger. And the charger has little bitty pins, it's a magnetic charger with little pins that magnetize on the back of the watch. So you just click it on the back of the watch. I'm showing you this because it's kind of interesting. So you click it, it's on the back of the watch, see? And there's the little power supply that powers the watch, and it's just a USB power. So you plug this into a USB power brick. Guess what I did? I had this plugged into my computer. For some reason, my watch was sitting on my desk back here, and I just grabbed the little power cord and unplugged it off the thing because I wanted to charge it while I was sitting by my computer. So I plugged this in, and wouldn't you know it, if there was a screw on my desk and it went right across the magnetic connection like that. And you see what it does? The magnets, if the screw threads are big like this, it touched the two parts, the two magnetic parts. The magnets pulled it onto the two pins. It shorted out my 5-volt USB port. That's what ruined the motherboard and the CPU. So here's what happened. What happened was, this was plugged in my computer. It probably touched and shorted out something at some point, some time. Then I scooched the stuff around, and I was having problems with that USB port. Maybe it did something, maybe it touched it a little bit, maybe something else was happening, I don't know. Eventually, this was sitting literally on my desk with the screw on it, just like that, touching. It was touching across there. It shorted out the power supply on the thing. And what happens is, on these motherboards, it has to send power to USB so that you can boot off of the USB drive. So you can boot off of a thumb drive to install Windows. Even if nothing else works, you can boot off a thumb drive. Well, when I went to boot off the thumb drive to put Windows on to try and recover my problem, find out if it was a boot issue, it crashed booting off of a thumb drive. So I couldn't even get to the BIOS to edit anything. So I had to buy an entire new PC, because what happened was, it burned up the power supply. The first power supply burned up. It burned up the motherboard, which in turn messed up the power supply. So I bought a new power supply, put it in, plugged it in the same motherboard. It messed that power supply up because this was still sitting on the desk, and it messed up the other power supply. So then I returned that power supply, swapped out the motherboard. And when I did, I left all the USB stuff unplugged. So the new motherboard was fine. The new motherboard, nothing wrong with it. And new power supply. But the problem was, because the CPU was messed up, something was wrong with the CPU. When I put it in the new motherboard, the first time I booted it, when it finally did get to boot with the video card, it had an overheating issue. It said, CPU too hot, shutting down. And I thought, it's too hot. It's got a water cooler on it and everything. So I reseated it, reset the water cooler and everything, and got it to post, but it was still messing up. Because what happened was, when I plugged in a big video card, this power was too much of a draw, and it didn't have enough power to boot the CPU because the CPU was burned up. So my 99 or 9950 or whatever my 12 core 24 thread processor was messed up, or whichever one I had. Anyway, so I bit the bullet and I bought all new motherboard. I didn't buy memory. So here's the deal. I'm gonna open it now, because I bought SSD for NVMe, SSD little thumb drive thing, so that I could take a drive that I already have stuff on. Like I had a 512 gig. I popped it in here, and now I can access that drive from here. So I don't even, with USB-C, direct USB-C to USB-C, I don't need to have it I don't need to, uh, you know, I don't need to be able to run a lot of files. It's NVMe 4 anyway. So the new motherboard is NVMe 5, and all that stuff just came today. Guess what I got from Newegg today? So let's open this thing up and take a look and see what all I got. They had a deal on some stuff. I had to get new memory and everything because I had DDR4. I thought, you know, here's the thing. I normally upgrade my computer every 4 years, right? Every 3 to 4 years I upgrade. The last Ryzen system that I built, this is the second one I built, has been lasting for a long time. It's a really good, this was a great motherboard. This Gigabyte motherboard, sorry, it's the heat sinks on it. This Gigabyte motherboard was a really, really good motherboard. It had all the audio I/O ports and all the different stuff you could want. It had 10 gigabit, no, it had 2.5 gigabit internet. It didn't have 10 gig internet. But you know what? I don't use my NAS to store my files. I just store them locally on hard drives. I don't do all that. I don't have enough to require a NAS hard drive. So here's what I got. The Aorus X870. So I'm still extremely happy with AMD. I'm not going to Intel. So I'm sticking with AMD, and I'm building an X870, which is the AM5 chipset. This is an Aorus Elite Wi-Fi Ice. This is a completely white motherboard. I haven't seen it yet. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, this is a white, completely white and silver motherboard. This is awesome. So, and it's Gigabyte. So I like the Gigabyte motherboard enough to get another one. So the other motherboard I bought as a to test was this is a very heavy motherboard. So the other one I bought to test was a Asus Strix motherboard, and I really didn't think much of it. I mean, it was okay, but it was an AM4, and it was just a cheap AM4 to test my AM4 chip. So since I have to upgrade the chip, I may as well go with a new board, and that's why I went with this. So, very, very cool. The only issue I have, it only has one 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. The only issue I have is it has optical out, and my speakers. The problem I had with my other ultra durable ice armor. I'm going to put this away, but this is an awesome board. It has like, I think it's got 1, 2, 3 or 4. There's 3 or 4. How many has it got? Oh, there's 3 NVMEs. There's 2 Gen 5s, a Gen 4, 1 Gen 4 at the top, 2 Gen 5s at the bottom, and a Gen 5 up top. So it's got 3 Gen 5s and a Gen 4 NVMe SSD. Oh, and it's got little quick release things for it. This is an awesome board. Anyway, I'm very excited for this one to upgrade. But the other issue is, I was going to ask, because apparently, I guess they fixed it in a driver or something. My speakers on my speakers, my Logitech speakers, are 5.1 with a big, huge subwoofer, and they have 5 separate inputs. It does have an optical input. I tried hooking the optical input to my last motherboard to this one. So this motherboard has an optical input. See right here, there's an optical, but it also has the 5 analog, and for some reason, the 5.1 sound for movies and stuff would not go through the optical. It wouldn't go to the optical. And I thought, well, maybe it was, and it said it was like a driver issue with Windows and that version of the thing. So I'm assuming the new one, since it only has 2, it doesn't have the 5, that it will send the 5.1 surround sound out through that optical. Because if it doesn't, it's now I'm going to have to return the board. So let's see what else I got. So the motherboard, I think the motherboard came with a free Kingston 1 terabyte NVMe PCIe 4 Gen 4. It came with a PCIe Gen 4. Then I got a 2 terabyte. That's right. I got a 2 terabyte T-Force Z540 M.2 Gen 5. So I got a T-Force Gen 5. Now, I don't know if I'm going to put my OS on here or if I'm going to keep this separate and put videos on it and continue running my OS off the main one, but put my main one on the Gen 4. But then that makes the other Gen 4s not Gen 4. I don't know. I was gonna use my hard drive copying software, copy my OS to this, and make this my new OS drive. But it's a 2 terabyte, which is a large drive. Of course, I could put the games and stuff on there, and it'd be in Gen 5 games and stuff, and put like just basic. I don't do a lot of big form projects. I could put some projects on there and do a separate scratch disk or something. Vengeance RGB DDR5. This is some awesome 6,000 megahertz DDR5, 64 gigs. It's 232 gig Intel XMP ready, but it said it was also AMD, whatever that other one was. It says it was ready for AMD also. So, and it's 30, 36, 36, 16. So it's 30. So it's the real fast stuff. Very fast T-Force memory. I mean, Corsair memory. And then it also came with Cooler Master CryoFuse. That was like a bonus that came with the thing if you bought something else. And then finally processor. And this is the one that took me a little while to figure out what I was going to do. So I wasn't sure if my water cooler would fit on the AM5 platform when I was in a hurry to buy it. But I found out that it does fit. So my cooler fits on the AM5. So I could have gotten just a processor without a fan. So I don't know if I'll keep this or if I'll just get rid of it. But here's what I got. I got a 6-core, 12-thread Ryzen 5 8500G. And I'm going to explain to you why I got a Ryzen 5 8500G with video. So it has Radeon graphics. Now, as you know, I had an issue, and I'm not positive that video card even works anymore. I don't know if that video card got burnt up also. I know it wouldn't boot with power plugged into the video card. So I got a new processor with video on it, just in case that thing still does not boot. And then I'll have one. It was so cheap, this is like $150. It's not the best. It comes with a heatsink and a fan, so even if the water cooler goes out, I can still plug in the heatsink and fan. I think I still had one of those somewhere, but it was like $140 something for this processor. It was cheap. And the reason why I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to AM5. The processor gonna do nothing but come down. They might be coming out with a 9950 X3D or something. Like they might come out with another processor. Since it's such a new platform, Ryzen 5, the AM5 just started like what, last year, or 2023, or like end of 2023, beginning of 2024. So it was only a year old. My other one's like 5 or 6 years old. So, you know, you go with one of these, and then I can always upgrade the CPU and just get more performance out of it. And it's only $150. It's only $150. And Newegg has a thing where you can trade up. So because I have this one, I might have this one for a couple months, or I might try it and not like it and go, well, just give me a bet. I'll just go ahead and get the better one and return it and just get a better processor. But for now, this is what I got. So this will work for now, and this is what I got. So, and that solves that problem. I mean, they just sent out a bunch. They just included a bunch of coupons with their stuff in here, and that's it. Anyway, so that's it. So, wow. I mean, this has been a month or two. So the crazy thing is because to get the laptop up and running with Edius, it was kind of a pain in the neck. So they used to allow you just to install it on 2 different computers. You can do that, but you have to unregister it on one computer and then re-register it on the other. So they only allow you to use one computer at a time, which for me is fine because the other computer was bad. But the problem is I couldn't unregister off of my computer because my computer was not starting. So once I get my computer back up and running, I can unregister it from the laptop and register it back on my PC. See how that works? And so I'm looking also at the Intel Arc video cards because they're inexpensive. So if there's a problem with my video card, I might just stay with the Radeon that's in there for a little while and see if Intel comes out with another one, because the Intel Arc cards include QuickSync and it has multiple encoders for video, and they're supposedly really, really good for encoding video, which is mostly what I do. I do a little bit of gaming, and the rest of it is encoding video and stuff. So I'm fine with taking a little bit longer to edit and do that stuff as long as the rendering is quick. So anyway, I'll let you guys know how it goes. We're gonna go ahead and build the computer, and I'll build it for you right here and let you know how it goes.